Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and I am the owner and travel agent at my travel agency, Polaroid Travel LLC, and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today I am going to do the third video in our series here, talking about our recent trip to the Margaritaville Island Reserve Riviera Cancun all-inclusive resort, um, and really just kind of um, wrap up my final thoughts on that experience. Would I recommend it to you? What were some of my favorite things about the resort? And what were some things that maybe weren't necessarily my favorite parts of it? And it kind of just give you an overall final consensus of that experience. While we are still at the start, if you want to get a drink or a snack, go ahead and pause the video and do so and come back, and we will get right into the final thoughts of that resort. As I am telling you my final thoughts on this all-inclusive resort experience that I had the pleasure of being able to have at the beginning of this month, I have written my thoughts and such into this neat little journal that I was kindly gifted for Christmas last year. And so you will see me glancing down every so often to kind of re-see what my thoughts were, and to make sure I don't miss any points that I wanted to make. The first thing that I want to talk about when regarding this trip is when we took the trip, our transfer service was done through Nexus Tours, and they were fantastic. It was so easy to work with Nexus Tours. The When you walk out of the Cancun airport, you all we had to do was find someone wearing an orange shirt and khaki pants, and they asked for what the booking information was, namely the confirmation number for the reservation, and we waited for a couple minutes to then get directed to our private transfer, and they were really great, super easy to work with, and I would highly recommend them for anyone who I work any of my clients, or if you're interested in looking for someone to use a transfer service, I would highly recommend Nexus Tours. They were great. And then we did fly on United for our airline of choice to go to Cancun. And on the flight there, we had TV screens that we could utilize for the flight. And then on our way back home, we did not have um, seats that had the screens, which is completely fine. Um, and then, as I mentioned, and I'm sure as you can see by the title of this video, and I've said it at the start, but we did stay at the Margaritaville Island Reserve Riviera Cancun all-inclusive resort, which is a family-friendly resort. But something that would be good to know is that there are two different Margaritaville resorts that are all-inclusive. It was the one that we stayed at, and then I believe the other one, if I remember correctly, was the Margaritaville Island Reserve Riviera Maya Resort. It was literally a couple minutes down the road from the resort we were at, and some friends that we made at our resort did go over to the other property um, for like a little day outing, and we were told by the friends that we made that the neighboring Margaritaville resort was more of a upbeat party atmosphere, if you will, and the hotel resort we were at was more of a low key chill vibe, which For us, it worked out because that's what we were looking for. But I think for other people, it's really good to know that those two resorts kind of had a different vibe to each of them. And I believe the other Margaritaville was also family friendly. When we were at our hotel, we personally did not do any excursions, although you could absolutely go and do excursions and can book those right at the hotel up at the front. If you have seen my resort tour video, which I uploaded last week, you will see where that area is that you can make the reservations for excursions and dinner reservations, etc. Um, the resort itself was about 20 minutes from the Cancun International Airport, so the drive from the airport to the hotel and the hotel to the airport weren't long drives at all. They were really easy. At our resort, there were 4 restaurants on property, 2 of which you did have to make reservations to eat at, and those 2 restaurants were Latinos and Frank and Lola's. And then, um, when it came to making reservations for those restaurants, you do have to make your reservations the day of that you want to eat there, and reservations do start opening for or you can start making reservations at 8 a.m. And then there were the other 2 restaurants on property were Rita's Tacos and also Beach House. To my knowledge, Beach House was the only place that served breakfast, and we did get breakfast there pretty much every day of our stay. And one thing we did notice is that the breakfast seemed to stay the same every day. It did not seem to have any variety. So you kind of could just count on the same thing each morning. And then with Rita's Tacos, we did eat lunch there twice during our stay, and I would highly recommend Rita's Tacos. Um, my mom and sister ate their nachos, and they absolutely loved their nachos, and my mom liked their fish tacos. I believe it was their pulled pork tacos, which were very good, and we have thought about them a few times since coming home from that trip, but I would highly recommend Rita's Tacos, and I would highly recommend a dinner at Latino's, which was also very good. There was also, I forgot, but there was also a little quick healthy food bar type area that was called Blended, and they had a variety of like yogurt dishes and smoothies and um, kind of healthier drinks there. Um, I did try their golden milk one of the days. I personally did not like it from a texture issue standpoint. I don't actually know if that was just a one-off occasion or what. I'm not sure, but it was also cold. Um, but I didn't particularly care for that, and my sister tried their matcha, I believe it was, and she didn't particularly care for their matcha. However, I did not taste the matcha, so I don't know I don't have an opinion on the matcha myself, but I do know that for when it comes to matcha, they can each kind of have their own acquired taste. Um, so that was the only thing that we got from Blended, but it's a cute little um, shop that was right by one of the 4 bars on property. There were 4 bars. The chill bar, which was over by the adults only pool, the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, which we frequented the most, the Compass bar, which is right up by the front of the hotel where you check in, and the Rita's Tacos had their own bar as well. So we spent most of our time between Rita's Tacos bar and the 5 o'clock somewhere bar. Now, some tips that I did write down for anyone who may be interested in visiting this property is if you plan to stay here, stay for no more than 3 or 4 nights max. There was not a lot of variety, and it just, in our opinions, was not a place that would be worth staying at for more than at least 4 nights. For comparison, we stayed for 3 nights at the resort. I personally would not recommend bringing young children. There were some other friends we made who had a really sweet little boy who, I think he was 4, had just turned 4, something like that. And for a family-friendly resort, there was not really anything for little kids there. There was and I did not show it in my resort tour video, I don't think, but there was a daycare-like room, if you will, that young children could go into. I don't know what all they had to offer in there, but as far as the pools go, there weren't any water slides or any, I would say, dedicated children play areas. Our friends with this little boy did say that they couldn't find ice cream anywhere on property, so there weren't any really kid specific treats per se that were offered. And even like foods, I wouldn't say that there was a lot of food that is kid friendly necessarily. I mean, you can get a burger and french fries. You cannot order just french fries with room service. You have to get something and then fries with it. We also ordered a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which on the menu is listed as peanut butter and jelly sandwich for room service. And when it arrived both times, it was a peanut butter sandwich. There was no jelly to the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So just keep that in mind. Also, bring your own like cups or water bottles. So when we were at the resort, you can't order a drink and then take it with you technically. So we ended up getting cups from the souvenir shop on site, and we're having our drinks put into those cups so we could then take them around with us at the resort. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is, if you're out by the pool and you want food, you cannot order the food to be brought to you by the pool, and you're not allowed to take food by the pools. So unless you are in your room ordering room service and are in a swim out suite, which we were fortunate enough to be in a swim out suite, but you can't order the food to be with you at the pool, so that's another thing to keep in mind. The resort did have beach access. It was right on the beach. When we were there was a ton of seaweed on the beach. And we saw some people that were working very hard to try and clean up the seaweed off the beach, which we felt bad for them because it's almost like a never-ending battle that they were signed up for. But there was a lot of seaweed. There were 2 different docks that you had access to on the beach. However, the one that was a further walk from where we was a little questionable. So, as in it was kind of broken and not in great shape. So obviously no one really walked down to that one. But the one that was closest to us, we walked down it. It was a really nice dock. It had steps on the sides that you could go into the water. from if you wanted, or there was a section where you could jump off into the water. And it was actually quite cool because there were some minnows over there, and I spotted a small gar, and there was another bigger fish that I saw, but I'm not quite certain what that one was. There were pelicans that flew over and seagulls, so definitely some fun animal sightings that you can have. Um, Speaking of animal sightings, in the beach house, they are a I would say partially open air concept restaurant, and so you will notice that there are birds, so grackles specifically, are in the restaurant with you and flying all about, um, while you're eating, which is both funny and for some people maybe that's scary. I don't know, but there were grackles flying in and out of the beach house restaurant. Um, our room was very nice, but one thing to note about the room is that the bathroom area is an open bathroom concept. And what I mean by that is there is no door that shuts off the bathroom area from the rest of the room. The area where the toilet is had a door that can close, and the shower had a door that can close. But other than that, everything else was open. So there's not a whole lot of privacy in that regard. And then the what do you call it? The back door that we would use to go to access our little swim out area. The door was a sliding door, but it was actually very difficult for us to open and close. Now, that could just be, that could have just been our own room door was difficult. I don't know if everyone else's who has a swim out suite's door was that difficult or not, but for us, it was a bit of a challenge to, excuse me, to get the door open and closed. We noticed that there was a glass paneling that was also sort of connected into the um, area where the door was to our swim out suite, and it wasn't attached to our door, but it was kind of in the track, if you will, further back. And after doing some further research, that is actually a child safety gate, which was really neat to see that they do provide safety measures like that if you do happen to be going with younger children. So that is something to know if you see. I didn't show it in my resort tour, but that was something we did see. One thing I also liked about the resort was the way they do the room keys. So more often than not, resorts will give you a room key that's just a plastic card. And at this all inclusive resort, they did it the same way that our all inclusive resort in the Dominican Republic did it. And you actually get given a bracelet that has like an oval piece, and that is your room key. So you just hold it up to the door, and then you can go in and out. You can also use that to use points at the hotel towards different food items. We didn't really spend any points that we had access to. If I remember correctly, I think we got somewhere between like 8,500 and 8,700 points that we could have spent at the resort, and we didn't really spend hardly any of them at all. So that is something else to note. Now, they did tell us that they do that so that we could get whatever items we wanted to stock up basically our little mini bar area in our room, but we ultimately didn't really use those points. Um, The staff were mostly nice. There was a bit of a language barrier, but for the most part, most of the staff that we interacted with were really nice. And um, at the resort, they also offered some different activities each day. So one of the days we played bingo at the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, and I did end up winning bingo. I won a shirt that said something along the lines of "When life gives you limes, make margaritas." So they definitely do on resort activities as well. They also did dinners on the beach. 2 nights out of the 3 that we were there, we did eat dinner on the beach. And I would say, I think my favorite dinner that we had on the beach was the last night we were there. It was like a Mexican fiesta type um, food theme, and it was really good. Each time that we did dinner on the beach, they also had live performers that were doing different performances. And the first night it was acrobats, and then the Mexican fiesta night, they had people doing traditional Mexican dances and just kind of different things. It's pretty apparent that dance and food and colors are a big, and music are a big piece of their culture, which was really neat to see. Um, but I think overall, I would recommend it to anyone who is looking for a really short, kind of quick trip. Um, but if you're looking for more of a longer stay and something that is still family friendly but offers more for all ages, this probably isn't the resort that I would recommend to you. Um, However, I think, like I said, if we were going there again for another 3 night stay or something like that, we would probably do that one again. But there were just some little things um, that all just kind of added up. I didn't really plan to touch on it in this video, but I did briefly touch on it in the resort tour video I made, and if you haven't seen it, then I will make sure I tag that both down in the description below as well as up in the right hand corner of your screen so you can go check it out. Um, and again, quickly, I will say 2 things we also liked about the resort was the size of the resort. It was not a large resort, it was small, which was nice because it was easy to get around to all the different places. Uh, and which is funny to say because we kept getting lost on how to figure out how to get back to our room, which I think was a combination of user error and then also more signs could have been put up to help clarify which way to go. Um, and 2, it was actually really easy to make friends at the resort, which was also something we were not trying to do. But we met some really lovely people on that trip who were all there just kind of having fun. And the one thing I will touch on quickly, and I'm not going to draw a lot of attention to it, but there, if you're in a resort, any type of resort, any type of hotel, any place, and there is easy access for you to get to somewhere where only the personnel and employees should be going, please don't help yourself into those areas. There was an incident where someone who we are not affiliated, we don't know them, uh, helped themselves into the pool bar, one of the pool bars, um, and was caught and basically kind of ruined it for everyone else. Um, just please don't participate in such behavior. Just respect the spaces that are meant for employees only so that you do not ruin the trip for other people and possibly yourself as well, and just for the safety of yourself and others. And that is going to be my only little PSA that I do, um, just as a friendly reminder so that everyone can have a safe and fun time. I hope you enjoyed my little video for you guys wrapping up my final consensus. I hope to continue to be able to share content like this. I have a feeling that more content like this hopefully will be coming out to you guys so that I can continue to share my experiences with you and give you my honest and open feedback on different places that I have the pleasure of being able to experience, should it be able to then help you as well. If you are interested in planning a trip for you and your family, please feel free to check out the link in the description below where you can find information on how to work with me, the suppliers that I work with, etc. I'd be happy to have a consultation call with you and see if we would be a good fit to work together. And I look forward and hope to see you in my next video where I plan to give you a product review of a travel bag. And I look forward to seeing you then. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that you don't miss any future uploads we provide you. And also, leave us a comment down below and let us know, have you stayed at an all-inclusive resort before and was it an experience you enjoyed? And if not, what did you not like about your all-inclusive experience? I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.